Hello, Lizzo. Welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you'll be the first person to be notified. And to my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos and also educate, you guys are the real MVP. Alright, lovelies, let's dive into today's video. So, lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok and I find it super interesting and educating. I decided to put it up here where finally black colored people are here to see exactly what black people is trying to tell them all this while. And they are all here to actually share their own personal experiences. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of all the stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. Alright, lovelies, let's dive.
I love how this country and also the world is completely falling apart right now, and we're still just going about our business like nothing is wrong. The stock market is in a complete free fall, which is sending shockwaves around the world where other countries' markets are failing. We've lost over $3 trillion in the stock market in a matter of days. Meanwhile, the federal government has the audacity to give me a credit score. We have U.S. warships in the Middle East getting ready for what seems to be an inevitable attack from Iran against Israel going down any minute now. A new jobs report showed that we're at 4.3% unemployment. People are applying to thousands of jobs and nobody is hearing back, and the jobs that do respond only want to give you $14 an hour and require a master's degree with 5 years of experience. Our current president is an old man with dementia who doesn't know if the smell is coming from his own pants or Pelosi's vodka breath, and our only two choices for president for the upcoming election are between a 78-year-old old dude with more legal issues that one can count and a cackling buffoon who is apparently unburdened by what has been. Our political divisions are so wide in this country that no one can get along. Nobody can afford basic necessities like groceries, gas, or even the places they live in. We are one nut hair away from World War III breaking out, and yet the only thing we seem to care about is pointless TikTok drama like Mr. Beast being canceled or influencer birthday parties. It kind of makes you wonder, when exactly is this lid just gonna pop off? Because if I'm being completely honest here, it's kind of hard to remain optimistic of a bright future when it doesn't really feel like the future is even something that we're gonna get to experience. All these articles keep coming out saying things like birth rates keep falling at unprecedented levels in the United States. It's like, well, no shit. Nobody wants to have babies anymore because we can't afford to take care of ourselves these days, let alone another little human being that you have to raise and feed and clothe. Not to mention the way the world is going and the indoctrination going on in our ridiculous public education school system doesn't really seem like a great selling point for us younger adults to be like, hey guys, life's good. Pull off those rubbers and start launching that baby batter out there. The sad truth is that millennials and Gen Z, we've become all too self-aware that this world is absolutely fucked. I mean, is there any hope or possibility that things are going to get better? Every day we turn on the news and it's another breaking, historically significant issue that we have to live through. So are we to believe that despite the unending list of absolute bullshit that is the world right now, that one day things are just going to be fine again? Like, think about it. Does anyone honestly believe that one day we are going to wake up and hear something like, breaking news, rent is now affordable again, or breaking news, a new law has been signed to stop corporate greed, allowing for employees to make the proper amount of money at their jobs in order to be able to afford the cost of living, or breaking news, U.S. politicians actually have to start working for the people to better their lives instead of making themselves richer. Those things almost sound mythological when you consider just how bad life has gotten. And what's worrisome is the fact that maybe, just maybe, we're inevitably heading to some sort of a hardcore factory reset, that society may be too far gone at this point, and the only thing that will fix it, or at least put us onto a better path, might be some type of cataclysmic conclusion. I certainly don't want that to happen, but it's not looking too good right now. And I think the most depressing thing about this whole situation is that the younger generations, millennials and Gen Z, we actually have the capacity to bring about positive, beneficial change that would allow for a world where everyone can afford to live in it. We would actually want to implement policies that avoid war because our generations know that none of us want to actually go fight in some war. None of us want to go fight and die just because some suits in a government disagree with each other's ideologies. How childish and stupid is it that everything wrong with our country and our world is because these old geriatric fuckface boomers can't let go of their power and want to fuck everything up for us? The problem is that millennials and even Gen Z, won't even have the opportunity to do anything positive because everything is on the brink of collapse. All we want to do is live in a world where every person of every creed and every background can live a good, happy life that they can afford and also be able to achieve their dreams. But no, these boomer politicians want us to live in a world where a kid who sweats his ass off in the summer pushing carts for a grocery store can't even afford to live anywhere, while the CEO of that same company lives off of their $100 billion net worth. It's absolutely fucked up. But what can we do? We keep talking about it, sure, but then they'll advocate to take this app away from us so that we can't talk about it. So who knows? I'd say to keep remaining positive, keep believing that one day we can make it right and that one day we can live good lives. But at this point, I just don't know anymore. It's a very hopeless way to look at life. At this point, all we can do is pray that these sick and twisted fucks don't blow up the world before they all eventually just die off and give us the opportunity to make things right. One could only hope.
Dollar Tree closing 600 stores this year. CVS closing 900 stores through the end of this year. Walgreens closing 150 stores. Outback Steakhouse has already closed 40 of its restaurants. UPS is cutting 12,000 jobs in 2024. Citigroup cutting 20,000 positions as well. eBay, why not? 1,000 jobs lost there. Microsoft cutting 1,900 positions. Expedia cutting 1,500. Cisco cutting 4,000. Apple cutting 600. It's entertainment too. Regal Cinemas closing 429 locations. Kroger's grocery store chain shutting down 413 stores. It's not affordable to be in retail anymore. Foot Locker closing 400 stores by 2026. Macy's will close 150 locations by 2026. Walmart, already this year, has closed 6 of its supercenters. While the U.S. Senate has passed nearly $100 billion to send to other countries that Joe Biden just signed yesterday, most can't even find Ukraine or Israel on a freaking map, let alone Taiwan. We're paying money that we don't have as our economy goes down the toilet and American jobs die. Of course, we know we're going to ban TikTok so nobody can talk about it freely.
This is for those of you who are awake. I think I've been awake for 5 to 6 years now, partially awake prior to that. I have, over time, through research, realized that everything I was taught in school, our history, was a lie. All of it. It's all a lie. We haven't been told the truth about anything. I don't believe anything we've been told is the truth. It is so far off from the truth, it's scary. Who else on the side of being awake? Like, if you know you're awake, you know you're awake. But who else on the awake side are having a really hard time interacting with people who are completely asleep? Like, I can't just get together with people and be like, oh yeah, the weather is sports. Oh, how's the kids? And not talk about the fact our country's being invaded. We are losing. This is the fall of Rome. We are living through the fall of Rome right now. Our country is being invaded. Our government has been taken over. There was a coup involved. The people running our government right now are all paid off and corrupt. Every one of them. I don't care. Congress, Senate, House, it doesn't matter. I think most of them are compromised. They're not representing the people at all. And I'm just at the point where I want something to happen. I'm done. I can't. I get up and go to work every day. I'm like, why am I doing this? What is this for? So it can all end next week when our government decides to fucking poison us or whatever they're gonna do. I just... It's frustrating. It's so frustrating. Make something happen. I don't care. It can be bad. Have the UN show up and knock on my door and arrest me. Whatever you motherfuckers have planned for us, let's just do it. Because this waiting game is getting really old. I'm tired. I'm really tired.
America is not what it once was. I've got some bad news for people who don't travel internationally. The world hates us, okay? We're not the big dogs. We don't have the clout that we once had. We aren't even like statistically on top of anything, education or anything anymore. And I've traveled a lot internationally. Over COVID, obviously, I stopped. And there's always been an underlying tone that America is dangerous. But, you know, we run Hollywood, so a lot of the media that is consumed by people in other countries is still American. However, I'm on my first international trip since COVID, and it has gotten worse. I have heard from every nationality that America is dangerous, but I arrived in Indonesia, which is a country that, you know, a lot of people aim to get out of and go to America. And the first thing that my taxi driver says to me is that he's afraid of America because of all the poppy seeds that we're taking and all the jazz powder that people are using. And he's convinced that people are walking around the US like zombies, because that's what's on the internet. That's what these people are seeing. And I think it's a really big lesson if you are sheltered and are not leaving the US. We don't got it. Like, we don't got it anymore. People don't want to live in America. People aren't eager to live in America. When I was in Europe, a lot of the kids said their parents wouldn't let them go to America because they were afraid they were going to get popped by the police. Like, those are the fears. The only fear that Americans have when their children travel overseas is that they're going to be, like, in the movie Taken, which is a very small possibility. And they just use that as a fear. I don't even, like, that's not really even a founded fear. People aren't taking Americans when we go, because you know how big of a hell case they would raise if some little white girl went missing? That's not what's happening. But what is happening is other people from other nations are going to America and bad things are happening to them. So, just a reminder, we ain't shit. We ain't shit.
That in fact we have 3 blocks: the United States and its allies, China and its allies, and Europe and its allies, if they have them. And that's why I've set up the talk the way I did. And that's why I want to take you through the impacts on these 3 blocks once I've made clear that the existence of them has now become well understood. And so we have the United States reacting itself to what has been exposed, both before the Ukraine war and helping to bring the Ukraine war into being. And since it began, the United States has expressed openly and repeatedly its hostility to the Chinese-Russian bloc. The decision to support Ukraine is part of that. It's a provocation to the Russians and has been understood by the Russians in those terms at least as far back as 2014, if not as far back as 2008. The simultaneous provocation of the United States Navy in and around Taiwan, the South China Sea, just continues what? The effort of the old hegemonic power trying with a certain desperation to hold back historical change, to humiliate, to terrorize, to frighten, to threaten the new emerging global power, China, and its ally, Russia, trying to hold back the process of change. I have repeatedly made the parallel, and I'm going to do it again, that as these blocks solidify, United States, parts of Western Europe, Japan, on the one hand, and Russia, China, and other countries I'll mention later on the other, and Europe in between, and that's what I'm going to be arguing in a moment. I've made the historical parallel with the United States and the Empire of Great Britain. The United States was once a small, relatively unimportant colonial possession of the British Empire. Under the rules of the empire and the control of the empire, economic development happened in its colony. And eventually, the economic interests in the colony clashed with the control exercised by King George III from England. And we had two wars to express the desperate determination of the British not to allow independence, not to allow independent economic growth in its colony. First in 1775, 6, 7, and so on, and then again in 1812. Two wars to stop what history made impossible to stop. Even the British figured it out. And for the rest of the 19th century, as we all know, they basically gave up. And between the end of the 19th and into the 20th, they even had to live with, as they still do, the role reversal, in which the dominant empire became the subordinate colony, and the ex-colony became the dominant empire, which is the relationship between the UK and the US for a long time now, and right to this minute. Are we going to repeat this time with the United States and China? Will we have wars before it's figured out that the capitalists themselves were the ones who moved to China, who wanted to cash in on the economic development the Chinese Communist Party had already achieved, and by doing so facilitated its continuance? That's the reality. Those wars are the question that I'm going to leave you with at the end of today.
Hello, let's take some time to talk about the end of empires. So I think pretty much everybody knows that going all the way back to the dawn of human civilization, every great empire that has ever existed, period, ceased to exist at some point or other. Some lasted a really long time, some didn't. So then that takes us to the big question. The United States of America is currently the premier world superpower and has been for quite a while, but with the world being so unstable, with the US quickly becoming domestically unstable itself, how much longer do we have left? I think a lot of us are starting to ask that question. It's a little bit like how we approached the Queen of England. Like, we're all conscious and aware that this isn't going to last forever, but we all wanted to know what's the date on the calendar, right? Here's the thing, if you had asked me this before 2015, I would have said, well, it's not even worth thinking about because it's going to happen so long from now, we're not even going to be around for it. But then 2016 to present happened, and that changed my mind on almost everything, including the functionality of the US itself. You see, what the past few years taught me is that the US government is so old, it's so outdated, it's so antiquated by this point, that it cannot solve problems of the 21st century. Even when its own existence is on the line, even when it has to enact change in order just to survive, it can't do it. Because our system just wasn't designed for the 21st century. I mean, a lot of that speaks for itself. Our Constitution goes back to 1789. That is 234 years ago. That's when George Washington took office as the first president. And oh, it gets better. It gets way better. Because did you know that for the past 163 years, dating back to the year 1860, we have been under the exclusive control of only two parties, the Republicans and Democrats. For the past century and a half, no other party has won an election. So our system is old as shit. Well, what else is new? Well, I wouldn't be talking about the end of the US if I thought that our leaders had a plan, but from watching them, it's very clear that they don't. They were working very, very, very hard to adapt to the US government for the 21st century and even for the 22nd century. That would be one thing, but they're not doing that. It's really like they think they can do this forever. Like they can just keep going on with the two parties forever, the Electoral College forever, the Constitution from 1789 forever. It's like they think this will never end. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's their lack of urgency and their lack of planning that makes me think the US is going to end, because that's the sort of behavior you see from leaders of world empires right before they end. That doesn't mean everything's going to come crashing down tomorrow. I'd be very surprised if it happens within the next decade. But I do think that from their lack of urgency, from their lack of addressing the needs of the 21st century, there is just absolutely no way the US is going to make it to the year 2100. It just can't. It's already showing signs that it's not going to make it to 2050. Here's another thing too. I don't think the US is going to end because of a revolution or a big proletarian uprising or anything like that. I think it's going to end because of its own mistakes. Like, basically, the US government is going to collapse under its own weight because of their lack of planning, their lack of initiative, and being so out of touch with the people they're supposed to represent. And again, that is behavior you see in a lot of empires right before they collapse. And I could end the video right there, but I'm going to say a little bit more. The best thing that you could be doing is prepare for that possibility. All of us, collectively, we all need to be watching, we all need to be paying attention, because one day the US government will collapse. It will probably happen in our lifetime, and when it does, it's going to be up to us to pick up the pieces and build something better out of the ashes. It may seem completely ridiculous to sit here and ask yourself questions like, what does my ideal society look like and how do we achieve it? But one day you might find yourself, alongside your friends and neighbors, designing a new society or a new government from the ground up when ours inevitably fails. Here's the thing, the more they drag this out, the worse it's going to be for them. The longer they keep us in this era of living paycheck to paycheck, housing being an unaffordable dream, kids being an unaffordable dream, groceries, healthcare, everything being expensive, the more bitter people are going to be, and ultimately the more happy they're going to be about the US collapsing, because they're going to feel like it wasn't working for them anyway. Seriously, if they keep this going, there are going to be US citizens opening up bottles of champagne in the streets to celebrate the end of the US government.
The rise of the military-industrial complex, which has turned America into a warfare state abroad and a surveillance state at home, and which has gutted the middle class in this country. We spent $8 trillion on wars since the war in Iraq, and we've got nothing in return. Literally, actually worse than nothing. We've undermined our own position in the world. We've destabilized the Mideast. We've driven 2 million refugees into Europe. And at home, you know, we've hollowed out the middle class, and you have a $24 trillion bill that is paid by the American middle class, and the United States is printing money, like we're borrowing $6 billion a day from the Chinese and Japanese to pay that, the interest on those debts. And it's no wonder we don't have a middle class left in America, growing oligarchy of billionaires, and then widespread poverty below. You cannot have democracy for very long.
Is the American empire collapsing?
Yes, it is. The question, the key question for everyone to be asking themselves, especially those in leadership, is how fast? And then the second question is, how do we arrest it to a certain extent? You can't stop it. It's impossible. But you can arrest it, and you can build a glide slope down which the empire slides, if you will, because there are equals in the world now. China, of course, is one of them. With nuclear weapons, you must say that Russia is one of them. And India comes very close to being one of them. It's a multipolar world now. You can't have a hegemon that is all things to all people 24/7.
Like, seriously, Lovelace, is just getting tougher and tougher and tougher. And the more at which people are beginning to realize what is happening, the way at which, you know, the society is moving now is not even something to joke about. It's not something like to smile about. It's not getting funny anymore. The rise of everything is all the price of food at the grocery, is all the, you know, rent, the way at which the rent has gone so high. Will I talk about every other, you know, basic life amenities? Like, people cannot even survive anymore. People barely survive because the way at which inflation has taken the order of the day. And, you know, one thing about something like this is that it does not really affect a particular individual, or will I call it particular race. This is affecting everyone. It's affecting both the rich, the poor, and the middle class. So I think it's very high time a lot of people have to just wake up. You know, all of the lies, all of the, you know, things that have been taught and all of that, it doesn't worth it. Like, I like the fact that everybody is just getting to know it, you know. When some things are happening and it's just affecting, you know, a particular individual or a particular race of people, and it's not affecting other people, that is when you see people become very adamant of it. People do not want to talk about it. People do not actually want to share their own views and perspective, or maybe try to do something that will actually make the situation get better. But now in this situation, I think this thing that is happening about the just if everything in between is affecting every single human being, be it you are a black person, blue person, color person. It is not more a thing of a joke right now. Everybody really needs to, you know, and see what is happening. You know, substitute time, like black people often come to talk about how, things are not in their own favor, and how, they've been subjected to so many things. They've been, complaining for over the years, and it's as if no one wants to actually listen to them. No one wants to, give them the ears, because, okay, it's not affecting me. I don't care what you're talking about. If the society or the, is not, favoring you, it's not in your favor, it's none of my business. That time has gone. The thing is that this thing that is happening right now, the fall and everything, is affecting every single human being. And this is when so many people want to talk. People that was keeping quiet before, thinking that it won't affect them, without knowing that anything that affects the eyes will definitely go to the nose. Like, seriously, anything that affects the eyes go to the nose. So everyone now is coming out and trying to, like, oh, we've been lied to. Like, seriously, we've been deceived. Why is it that we never listen to black people? Why is it that when they were trying to explain things to us, we were thinking that they are the problems? We are thinking that they are the reason why things are going, left, without even knowing that even after affecting these people, it will come to you. Like, when you keep on suppressing, a particular group of people, these people that you keep suppressing, oppressing, and all of that, they get used to oppression, they get used to suffering, they get used to anything that life has to bring. They become very used to it and try to manage the situation. Like, it baffles me that all of these things that is going on, black people are just, on their own low key. You wouldn't blame them, because they have been the ones talking about this, trying to make people understand, trying to get everyone to get to know what is happening. Then people often think that, oh my God, black people, you guys complain a lot. No matter anything that the society want to do for you, you will still complain that they are not doing better. Then these people decided to, like, okay, let's just manage, let's just try to see how we can leverage ourselves, how we can provide things for ourselves, how we can actually survive from our own safe places. They decide to do that. And now this thing is now affecting everybody. It's affecting every individual. It's no longer have to do with race. It's not longer have to do with, okay, this person or that person, since I am not, it's not affecting me, I don't care. No, black people are getting used to it. They are managing it. So people that have been, privileged, have any sort of privilege, it's going to be very difficult for them to actually adjust in the system, because the system has actually gone bonkers. The system has gone to a like, I don't even know how to put it anymore. People are even barely surviving. It's no more about the race thing. Even if you are someone that is rich and you have, gotten used to a particular kind of lifestyle, at least in this kind of thing, this kind of scenario, this thing that is happening is going to make you to change a particular lifestyle that will make you uncomfortable. But to those people that have been so used to this kind of lifestyle, and it's something that, okay, it's going to be very easy for them to adjust. So that's why when I came across this video and the way at which he was like, I was like, okay, oh, you are just realizing now. This is what a lot of people have been talking about, but because it's not affecting you personally, it doesn't make any sense. This also remind me of, the time during affirmative action. Oh my goodness. It was as if black people were actually the problem of affirmative action. Like, it all started with this Asian man that decided, okay, that he got his call, and this call was supposed to put him in some Ivy schools, and he didn't get the admission, and he was like, it was because of the, black people, that got admitted in the school. That's why he is not able. Without even realizing that the real issue here is because of some colored women that is being favored. This is how they did this. They, with all the back and front and everything, affirmative action was actually, struck down. And I was just going through my For You page. I saw an article where, Asian people were like, oh my God, they don't longer get admitted into Ivy schools just the way they used to get admission when there was affirmative action that, black people told them. They were thinking that, black people was actually the problem. And they teamed up with colored people to strike down affirmative action. And now it's affecting them. And now they are calling upon, what are we going to do now? Like, they're not even admitted anymore. Like, this is one of the examples. And with this thing that's happening, this thing that happened with Strength and Mercy, the way at which people that look like me is being treated is so unfortunate that, like, you don't know that when you keep, treating some particular set of people some certain way, this thing you're doing might actually come back to you in full force. This is what is happening with the society right now. Everybody is crying, everybody is complaining, like everybody wants out. What is happening? They're not realizing that some people have actually hijacked. Nobody hijacked. This has been the way the system is, but it's just that it has not affected. It's not been affecting you. That's why you think that some group of people have hijacked something, because it's now affecting you. This is how it has been, but because it's affecting some different kind of people, and they're just, okay, what do we do? Nothing. But now it's affecting you. Now you're thinking that, which I just pray that everything, everybody is, fortunate enough to be able to at least put a 3 square meal on the table, pay their rent, afford medical bills, at least basic things of life, at least. Anyway, lovely, so why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational or informative purposes. So please subscribe to this channel, leave a thought in the comment section, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.
Up to this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. Alright, lovelies, please share this video, subscribe, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.